Tonight on Ctv3 News, Orange Walk man charged with manslaughter after assault leads to fatal injuries. Police continue to follow leads in the death of Raheem Usher. Joshua Hall remains on the lam. Police introduce massive manhunt for his capture. And the should Belize brace for economic fallout amid U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade war. We bring to you the comments from the president of the Belize Chamber of Commerce. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Wednesday, March 25th, 2025.
Todos están invitados a la reunión política del suroeste de Corozal el sábado 8 de marzo del 2025 en el complejo Honorable Ramiro Ramírez en San Narciso a las 6 de la tarde en punto. Únase a nosotros y escuche a los oradores dinámicos, al líder del partido abanderado de Orange Rock Central, Johnny Briceño, abanderada de la Bahía de Corozal, Tea García Ramírez, abanderado de Corozal Norte, David Castillo, abanderado de Corozal Sureste, Florencio Marín Jr., abanderado de Orange Rock Norte, Ramón Monchi Cervantes, abanderado de Orange Rock Este, Kevin Bernard, el abanderado de Orange Rock Sur, José Abelardo May, abanderado de la zona rural sur de Belice, Belize Rural South, André Pérez, y por supuesto, el campeón de Corozal Suroeste, Ramiro Ramírez. Baile gratis con la música de Tecno Band. McCoy García, Stefan Trapp, con el PUP, ¡vamos bien!
El gusano barrenador del Nuevo Mundo representa una amenaza importante para el ganado, las mascotas y los seres humanos. Puede provocar graves pérdidas si no se controla rápidamente. Actualmente no está presente en Belice. Es por eso que la detección temprana es crucial para evitar su propagación. Ayudemos a mantenerlo fuera. No traiga animales de otros países ilegalmente. Si nota gusaneras en heridas inusuales, infórmelo de inmediato. Llame a Baja al 824-4872 o envíe un mensaje de texto al 670-7003. Juntos podemos trabajar para mantener a nuestro país libre del gusano barrenador del Nuevo Mundo y salvar animales. Este mensaje es presentado por Baja, OIRSA, IICA, USDA y el Ministerio de Agricultura, Seguridad Alimentaria y Empresas.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Joanna Rodriguez. As we told you on Tuesday, police released the cause of death for 28-year-old Raheem Usher, whose body was found in the outskirts of San Antonio Village 1 week ago. At the conclusion of a post-mortem examination conducted by Dr. Roque Blanco, the cause of death was certified to be multiple gunshot wounds to the head. Usher's body was found on February 27th near the Rio Hondo River in the community of San Antonio. He was handcuffed and wrapped in a sheet and covered in plastic. Before his body was found, Raheem had been missing since January 25th. His family had even offered a $15,000 reward for any information on his whereabouts. When his body was found, it came with a chilling message threatening those involved in, quote, bringing down planes with drugs. In an interview with our newsroom today, Compole Chester Williams shared an update on the investigation into Usher's killing.
And in the murder of or the killing of Mr. Usher, I know that the police yesterday issued the results of the post-mortem. Anything in that case?
Well, we have some people who are looking at some local people who we believe are involved. Investigators are trying to put the pieces together. We have collected a couple pieces of evidence that may be able to lead us in a particular direction, and so we're looking at those evidence and see if we'll be able to put together sufficient to be able to charge somebody.
We also asked the commissioner for an update on the killing of 18-year-old Aaron Tone and 27-year-old Michael Whittaker in neighboring Chitomal. Both individuals were wanted by police and had fled to Chitomal as they were being sought in connection with anti-drug operations here in the north. The men were among a group of 5 bodies found in Chitomal over the weekend. The bodies of these men, believed to be somehow linked to Mexican cartel activity, showed the signs of torture and each had a gunshot wound to the head. One of the victims was wrapped in black plastic bag. 2 had their faces taped up, while at least 1 was tied before being discarded near the banks of the Rio Hondo. 2 of the bodies were also found with cardboard placards with a message in Spanish, which read, and we quote, "This will happen to all those who steal. In this business, this is not allowed. Here is the example. Stop stealing from you-know-who," end of quote. Now, while this case involves 2 Belizean nationals, Compole Williams says that the investigation is being carried out solely by Mexican authorities.
I have not heard anything from the family. I guess that has been dealt with through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, working in tandem with the counterparts in Mexico with the family to ensure that they can get the bodies back to Belize and do what needs to be done. But in terms of the investigation, we have not heard nothing much from our Mexican counterparts, something that they are dealing with, and so we have little to nothing to do with what takes place in that country.
Police also continue their search for Joshua Hall. Tonight continues on the lam.
And the third person that you guys were looking for, Hall, any update on him?
We have not been able to locate him. We were hoping that he would have surrendered himself to the police, but that has not happened. Up to yesterday, we were following some leads in terms of where we believe he might have been, but those leads proved futile, and so we continue our effort with a view to see if we can locate him.
51-year-old Orange Walk resident Salvador Cocom has been charged with manslaughter in relation to the death of 55-year-old Martin Castillo. This incident went unreported on January 28 as it seemed to have been a simple case of harm following a fight between 2 persons. According to reports made to police at around 9 p.m. on January 28, Salvador Cocom was socializing at a residence located on the Ochobenque Road. While there, Cocom says that Martin Castillo approached him and assaulted him for no apparent reason. As a result, Cocom reportedly punched Castillo on the face, causing him to fall on the ground unconscious. Castillo was taken to the Northern Regional Hospital where he was listed in a critical condition while the incident was reported to the Orange Walk Police Formation. Cocom was initially charged with harm. However, several weeks after the incident, Martin Castillo died, seemingly as a result of the injuries he received. Salvador Cocom was charged on Tuesday with 1 count of manslaughter in relation to Castillo's death. At this time, the eyes of the world are focused on the escalating trade war between the United States, Mexico, and Canada. Initiated by the imposition of 25% tariffs on Mexican and Canadian goods by the U.S., this conflict has prompted swift retaliatory measures from both neighboring countries who have imposed tariffs of their own. Now, while many may ask what this foreign conflict has to do with Belize, the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, BCCI, fears that for Belize, which relies heavily on imports, the fallout from this trade war could lead to serious economic impacts. With this situation expected to escalate, President of the BCCI, Catherine Main, says the Belizeans must prepare for increasing prices very soon.
And it comes right back to what we were talking about, right? And you know, each country has to do all it can to be able to have the most stable, predictable, and I know that's a theme of our discussion, but it's really important. Stable, predictable, and growing economy. With those challenges that are coming from outside, we have to prepare for an environment where things will increase in cost. We are primarily an import-driven society. That means, and where are these items coming from? Many of them, even if they're in transit, they move from the United States. What does that mean? Also, there's other angles to that. We are so interconnected when it comes to do with the cost or the details that has to do with where some of these ships that are bringing these items our way are coming from. And what does that mean when this sort of, you know, environment and, lack of a better way of saying it, trade war is really happening around us? It means a couple things to me. It means, one, we need to do a better job at figuring out how we can make our business environment, our economy as stable and working as efficiently as possible. And secondly, we have to start to take the actions of being a preventative type entity or nation so that we can prepare for what is to come, because we know it's going to mean increase in costs.
Okay, so an election.
There have been hints that Belize might be reconsidering its membership in the Hague Group, a coalition established on January 31st, 2025, to bolster support for rulings by the International Court of Justice (ICJ) and the International Criminal Court (ICC) regarding the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. While Prime Minister John Briceño has stopped short of confirming a definitive withdrawal, he emphasized Belize's unwavering support for Palestine as a key aspect of the country's foreign policy. The Hague Group, which has garnered mixed reactions on the global stage, aims to hold nations accountable for violations and reinforce the international legal framework surrounding the complex Israeli-Palestinian situation. Yesterday, former Minister of Foreign Affairs Eamon Courtney was asked to weigh in on the potential implications of Belize stepping back from the Hague Group. Courtney noted that while Belize's ongoing support for Palestine is commendable, it remains to be seen how a withdrawal from the coalition might affect Belize's position in ongoing negotiations concerning its own territorial disputes.
I don't believe that there will be any evidence before the ICJ as to who is in the Hague Group or who is not in the Hague Group. I don't think membership in the Hague Group gives rise to any legal issue, or non-membership should give rise to any legal issue. If membership of a group like the Hague Group influences judges, then in my opinion, they're not independent. So I do not believe that there will be any deleterious effect on our case, whether or not we are a member of the Hague Group.
It's not your purview, you're no longer Minister of Foreign Affairs. But with the hard shift in the United States and all that engenders, do you think that leaving the Hague Group would be advisable in light of the fact that the United States is staunchly pro-Israeli at this time?
I would say that, like every country in the world, particularly those in this part of the world, Belize is undergoing a review of its foreign policy in relation to changes not only in the United States, but changes in Europe as well. I know the foreign minister is actively looking at different aspects, different issues, looking at the position of Belize. He and I have spoken about it from time to time. So I know that the ministry is deeply looking and analyzing the position. All I would say, Jules, and I would say no more about this, there are people who are saying quite a lot right now about certain decisions that the government is taking in foreign affairs. And if you look at things in isolation, you may say, I think we should do X. But if you look at that very same issue and you ask, well, what is the consequence of doing X on Y, Z, A, B, C, other things that the government is doing or the government is pursuing? When I was ministry, and I'm sure it is the same now, you have to start first with your principles. And secondly, what is your national interest? And that requires careful calibration where you have a world that is in turmoil. I have, based on my experience, full confidence in our Foreign Service officers, our minister, our CEO, in the ability to analyze the different issues and implications for Belize, consult with regional governments, consult with friends of Belize when coming to make decisions in the interest of Belize. So I am not at all worried, and I am also not at all concerned if we take a new and different position on a particular issue because circumstances have changed.
A crucial step towards bolstering water security for Sartaneja village was taken today as the government of Belize, alongside the Protected Areas Conservation Trust Pact and the Ministry of Rural Transformation, Community Development, Labor and Local Government, announced a significant investment of $2 million to supply and install a reverse osmosis water treatment plant. The new treatment facility is expected to produce an impressive 110,000 gallons of potable water daily by utilizing brackish water from the well. This initiative is a timely response to the growing population of Sartaneja, which is the second largest village in Belize with an estimated 3,500 residents. With tourism emerging as a vital component of the local economy, this project aligns with the Sustainable Development Goals and supports Belize's vision for a blue economy. The groundbreaking ceremony took place today, attended by distinguished guests including BWS Executive Chairman Cornelio Acosta, Junior Ministry of Finance, Assets and Utilities Manager Ashton Longsworth, Honorable Florencio Marin Jr., Sartaneja Village Council Chairman Lucio Guerrero, Sartaneja Water Board Chairman Jamael Verde, and Rural Water Services Manager Juan Marin Jr. from the Ministry of Rural Transformation. We recognize the essential role that water plays in the development of our communities, especially in areas with growing tourism potential like Sartaneja. This investment represents our commitment to ensuring sustainable water access for all residents, stated Honorable Florencio Marin Jr. during the ceremony. Belize Water Service BWS will take the lead on implementing this crucial project, which is expected to be completed within 4 months. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Todos están invitados a la reunión política del suroeste de Corozal el sábado 8 de marzo del 2025 en el complejo Honorable Ramiro Ramírez en San Narciso a las 6 de la tarde en punto. Únase a nosotros y escuche a los oradores dinámicos, al líder del partido abanderado de Orange Rock Central, Johnny Briceño, abanderada de la Bahía de Corozal, Tea García Ramírez, abanderado de Corozal Norte, David Castillo, abanderado de Corozal Sureste, Florencio Marín Jr., abanderado de Orange Rock Norte, Ramón Monchi Cervantes, abanderado de Orange Rock Este, Kevin Bernard, el abanderado de Orange Rock Sur, José Abelardo May, abanderado de la zona rural sur de Belice, Belize Rural South, André Pérez, y por supuesto, el campeón de Corozal Suroeste, Ramiro Ramírez. Baile gratis con la música de Tecno Band. Y McCoy García, Stefan Track con el PUP. ¡Vamos bien!
Yo, Empress Melcy Productions in collaboration with Vibes Alive International presents
Reggae by the River 2025.
It's a first of its kind Sunday reggae vibes alongside the mighty New River at the Banquitas Open Lawn, featuring contrast music, delicious food and drinks, plus a wide variety of adult beverages.
Musical niceness by
David Echo Stone of 5-Star International, DJ Bilo of Belizean Jugglers, DJ Mix of Vibes Alive International, Mr. Jerez of Freshmatic Sound,
DJ Jesse of Rascas Sound, DJ Dynasty, Reggae Dutch.
Reserve your cocktail tables or apply for vendor space now by calling 670-9579 or 669-8233 or 612-7225. Also, bottle service will be available on local and imported. Enough prizes and giveaways. 3 for 10 Bellikin beer special between 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. while supplies last.
Sponsored by Madisco, the Belize Tourism Board, Niche, Quayos Distillery Limited, Bellikin, Belize Freights LLC, Dallas, Coral Packing and Delivery, Dallas, AAA Imports, Hotel Maria Isabel, Centaur Communications, Honorable Kevin Bernard, Honorable Cordell Hyde.
All going down on Sunday, March 9th. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for lineup updates and additional details.
I believe in the power of our community.
Kevin, get the work done. You must be mad, you must be sick, you must be dreaming.
Together, we have achieved so much, but there is a lot more to be done.
Kevin, get the work done. Kevin Bernard, you are true genius. Stick to the plan, the people come first. Some never believe.
Together, let's continue to build a better Orange Waters.
Over 300 land, certified farmland, where available, identified.
Bert Vasquez, convicted of attempted rape in 2018, has lost his appeal after the Court of Appeal upheld his conviction and sentence. The case stems from an incident that occurred in January 2011 involving a 20-year-old woman. Vasquez, who chose to represent himself in the appeal process, went up against the Director of Public Prosecutions, Sherilyn Vidal, arguing that his conviction should be overturned. However, after reviewing the case, the Court of Appeal ruled against him, dismissing his appeal and affirming his sentence. The court did acknowledge that there was an excessive delay in processing his appeal, which they deemed a breach of his right to a fair hearing within a reasonable time. Despite this finding, it did not impact the final decision, and Vasquez remains convicted. With this latest ruling, Vasquez will have to serve the remaining of his sentence, marking another failed legal attempt to overturn his fate. Commissioner of Police Chester Williams today concluded a 2-day tour of irregular border crossings in both the Orange Walk and Corozal districts. The tour, which included all major villages which share an illegal border with neighboring Chetumal, was done with the view to discuss challenges and explore ways which the department can work to improve security and operational effectiveness in target areas in both the Orange Walk and Corozal districts. With heightened cartel activity in neighboring Chetumal, Compol Williams says he saw it important to reassess all operational objectives to ensure no vulnerable areas are left exposed to potential spillover effects.
Well, basically, myself, accompanied by Commander Operations, Mr. Greenwich, the Northern Regional Commander, Mr. Noble, and the unit commanders, Mr. Gamboa and Mr. Mejia, we went and do a tour of the irregular border crossing areas, the areas that are within the Northern Operations area of responsibility. And again, the purpose is just to make sure that our teams on the grounds are prepared and doing what needs to be done to be able to ward away those persons from across the border who may want to come into Belize and operate. And you know that over the past few days we have seen an increase in cartel activities across neighboring Chetamal, and so we want to make sure that those persons who from that area do not come over to Belize and seek refuge. And so we're making sure that we look at our plans that we have in place. If there's a need for us to tweak it to make it more effective, then that is what we're doing.
2 days on the ground, according to Campo Williams, gave him necessary insight into the happenings in the area, which is seeing heightened activity of Belizeans crossing over into Mexican territory.
There seems to be a lot of movements of Belizeans going over to the Mexican side via the irregular border crossing area. I think that is something that we need to address, particularly in the Botes area. We need to see what we can do to eliminate that. We would know that most of the activities that take place in that area are motivated by the cartels, and so that's one issue we have to address. In terms of the officers' preparedness, I'm happy to say that they're equipped. Thanks to the government, we have received a number of equipment for them to be able to execute their duties. That include vehicles, weaponry, body armors, etc. They have those things, drones. So in terms of equipments, they're ready. They seem to be quite motivated and are prepared for the task. The few people I spoke to, they are happy with the presence of the police. They're saying that since the police have been in the area operating, they have seen a significant reduction in activities coming from across the border, and the issue that surrounding the threat from cartels coming into Belize, they feel much safer now, knowing that the police and the BDF are in the area. And so we just need to continue doing what we're doing, with a view to make sure that we ensure the safety of the people who live along our border areas.
While the ongoing operations in northern Belize is focusing on the deterrence of cartel activity within Belizean territory, Campo Williams says the police is also working with partner agencies to police other issues like contraband in the area.
Is the presence of the police in these areas also, in a way, for contraband? I know that has been an issue in northern Belize for some time as well.
Yes, of course, we do have partners in this endeavor. We have the Custom Department, and we have a team of officers who works with Custom, dealing with the issue of contraband, and then we also have the BDF. The BDF and the police team, the specialized units are more dealing with the cartel issue and those persons who resides in Belize that we know are working with the cartels. So again, my thing to the team is that we must make sure that we stay on top of the Belizeans who are operating with the cartels, with a view as not to give them the opportunity to be able to do what needs to be done. Wherever they move, we must know. What they're moving in, we must know. Where they go, we must know. And with that, we're seeing that the police is going to the homes every so often, making checks and doing searches and so forth. Again, it is working. And with that, we saw where a number of them have left Belize and went and live in Chetamal, which for us is good. If they want to work with the cartels, then go and live in Chetamal. That's the best thing for them to do. And so we want to continue to do that with a view to ensure that we either get them to discontinue or they move out of the area.
And while there has been a lot of speculation lately about the presence of cartel elements in Belize in recent days, Campo Williams assures Belizeans that is not the case.
Election time. When it's election time, the political propagandas begin to spread. And so we're seeing news outlets putting out stories that cartels operating in Belize and cartel this, cartel that. That has been done with a view to make the government look bad. I can say to you that the government of Belize have invested a lot in making sure that election time. When it's election time, the political propagandas begin to spread. And so we're seeing news outlets putting out stories that cartels operating in Belize and cartel this, cartel that. That has been done with a view to make the government look bad. I can say to you that the government of Belize have invested a lot in making sure that our northern operations is continual, and we are grateful for that. Again, it shows a commitment in making sure that we do what needs to be done to keep the cartels out of our country and to reduce the possibility of our Belizeans working with the cartels. So I want to tell our Belizean people, particularly those who are living in the affected areas, that we, the Belize Police Department and the Belize Defense Force, will continue to do our utmost best in making sure that we maintain the integrity of our borders to repel against those who may want to come into our country and operate and do illegal activities. And those who goes over to Chatamal or Mexican side, just be careful. At the end of the day, we have seen the effects of what the cartels can do. And if you go over there, you make yourself extremely vulnerable. So when you do decide to go, just be careful and make sure that you're aware of your surroundings and who you're going to see.
Campbell was also accompanied by his tour by key elements within the department, including Senior Superintendent Christopher Noble, Northern Regional Commander ACP Alford Greenidge, Commander of Operations, Officer Commanding the Special Patrol Unit Superintendent Aaron Gamboa, ASP Marciano Mejia, OCMIU, and Inspector Jamin Casanova, OCHIT. The Belize government has suspended all import permits for a range of vegetables, citing sufficient local supply and the need to protect local farmers. The Ministry of Agriculture, Food Security and Enterprise, MAFSE, informed the Belize Agricultural Health Authority, BAHA, of the decision, which affects lettuce, onions, purple, white, and yellow, potatoes, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, broccoli, and celery. Authorities warned that anyone caught importing these vegetables illegally will face prosecution under the Baja Act Chapter 211 of the Laws of Belize, with penalties including heavy fines, imprisonment, or both. Government officials are urging the public to support local farmers and purchase homegrown produce to strengthen Belize's food security and agricultural sector. The suspension remains in effect until further notice, and authorities will monitor the market to ensure local demand continues to be met. Today, the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO, officially opened its new emergency office in the city of Belmopan, marking a significant milestone in enhancing disaster response and preparedness efforts in the region. This facility will serve as the Belmopan Emergency Operations Center, EOC, ensuring a coordinated and effective emergency response for the nation's capital and surrounding communities. In times of disaster, the EOC will be manned by a committee comprising the area representative, the mayor, 2 district coordinators, and 13 committee members from various government ministries. This strategic composition ensures a multi-sectoral approach to disaster risk management, reinforcing collaboration and efficiency in emergency preparedness, response, and recovery efforts. According to Daniel Mendez, the National Emergency Coordinator at NEMO, the opening of the facility underscores the commitment to ensuring that Belmopan and its surrounding areas have a well-equipped and coordinated emergency response system.
Building, having a specific building for Belmopan and the surrounding villages means that there's one central location for the coordination of emergency response. But this also gives us the ability to have a space where we can do all of the necessary preparedness activities that are important. So this is where the Belmopan team, along with with those people in this committee, are able to come to do training, to do coordination meetings, and to have one space where this focuses on the effort in this area. As you are aware, it's not just the Belmopan itself that is responsible, that is responsibility of this office, but really as far as Franks Eddy, down to Unitedville, and all the way down to St. Margaret's Village, which is a really wide and huge geographic area. So having a building where we are able to coordinate those activities for this area is really important.
In the long term, the building will also serve as a training and research center, supporting capacity building initiatives and fostering the development of best practices in disaster risk management.
One of our ideas is that we do need to look at expanding our training to the public, and so this building also, because of the way it's designed, it gives us the ability to create a training center. So we don't have it yet, but it's one of those ideas that we are floating, where we'll be able to have one location where we'll be able to offer training to our partners and to the public, and that will take shape over the next few months, and so you will hear more about it as it develops.
Today in Belize City, the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry, BCCI, held a roundtable discussion with the media to mark the release of the Chamber's Business Policy Roadmap 2025. The roadmap, according to the BCCI, serves as a comprehensive guide to address some of the most pressing issues affecting Belize's economy, including business development, tax reform, tackling corruption, labor force development and immigration, energy and infrastructure, and government and private sector coalition building. Looking more closely into the issue of tax reform, President of BCCI, Catherine Main, says the Chamber is looking to effect major change which the country desperately needs.
Tax reform is critical for us. And why? Because we really feel taxes in its entity, its meaning, and its definition is a significant part of either the success or the challenges of business development and economic development. For us, as we are discussing our business policy roadmap today, really what we want to talk about is that there is a clear, there is a less complex, and there is a predictable form of tax. Right? We understand the significance of taxes within the business community. We have to give back. We're part of that cycle, right? As we talked about today, how does a road get developed? And what does that mean when a road gets developed in terms of infrastructure? Gets people to work. Business community understands that, but what we want to make sure that it's transparent, that it's clear, that it's simplistic, and it's not a form of double taxation as well. And that give, right, we want to be able to ensure that there's accountability for the receive as well. And there's accountability for the give as well.
Tax reform, according to Main, also focuses on ensuring that all businesses, particularly those within the MSMEs, are able to clearly understand and access tax services clearly and effectively.
I think a lot of it is, you know, we have a budding, amazing entrepreneurial spirit and an MSME community that is thriving. We see a lot of that in the night market. In, you know, a lot of these different activities at our expos. So I think a lot of that centers on making sure that there is clarity and that there is an understanding that, guess what, that tax, that money that I have worked hard for, that if I'm giving that as a part of give back to the community, that there'll be a receiving for that. And I really think a lot of it centers on making sure that we make it easy, transparent, and very efficient at the same time. And this is where, you know, for instance, digitizing comes into play. Rather than having to go stand in a line for 2 hours as an entrepreneur, when really it's a group of 2 sometimes, right? When you're working within your business and every single hour counts, you want to know that you can do what you need to do and be a part of following the law and following the system properly and being able to do that efficiently. And even if that means 8 o'clock at night, and that really means we gotta digitize. Right? And that digitizing also makes it clear and ensures that that individual clearly understands what they have to do to be able to, you know, pay their taxes, as an example. So I really think, you know, we have to think along that lines. I speak to a lot of entrepreneurs and they are okay with that process of being able to contribute towards the economy, but a lot of them don't understand or fear what they don't understand, and we have to change that.
Also, within the scope of tax reform in Belize, Main spoke on the benefits of GOB's GST Break initiative, which proved to be a success in its trial year.
Yes, I think there were bumps in the road, but bumps in the road, if we take them and learn from them, can only help us, right? So with the GST holidays, we are happy to hear already that there is conversations about August, right? Back to schools, July, August, and then also a return for Christmas as well. What we're asking for and what we've been communicating, this is an area where we have collaborated on and we want to continue to collaborate, is again, let's talk about how we can plan in advance so that those businesses that need time to prepare, like for instance, the more complex ones like a grocery store, which was one of the most popular areas, right? Because we have zero rated items and then we have items that will cost GST or will have a GST within a grocery store. Those entities have to prepare for that so that it's carried out well. Also, we also need to be able to predict and better understand what was the value that was gained in that, right? And so we hope that whichever administration wins immediately following the elections, those kind of discussions can start and we can prepare so that that sort of benefit, which we heard was really beneficial and popular all around, can continue.
Another major issue which the BCCI is focusing on is surrounding the conversation on minimum wage. While an additional increase in the country's minimum wage bracket is a good thing, Maine says there are other factors which must also be considered.
From our previous questions, there is a similar theme: predictability. Any good business, anybody, right, wants an environment where you know what is to come. From a business perspective, if there is a strategy, there needs to be a level of predictability, because without predictability, the strategy goes up in the air. And we want to be able to know that there is a path and predictability for something that as significant as changing the minimum wage. A change in the minimum wage has a very, very impactful, can be positive, can be negative effect within our business economy and within our business community. From the minimum wage perspective, you know, this goes back when the discussions about $5 an hour had come up. There was a group that was put together of the tripartite entity, meaning the unions or the employees, the employers, and the government. They took a tremendous amount of time to identify what was the most predictable and healthiest way to move that forward. Unfortunately, that formula and all the work that went into that did not get applied. And the purpose of that, and I will add that from the employees, and there was commitment and agreement and there was a clear understanding of why there was a need for the formula and why there was a need for more predictability. I also think it's important for us to think about, you know, is the minimum wage increase really having the impact that we need it to have? When there is an increase in the minimum wage coupled with inflation, ultimately the same value of, or the same quantity of items that you can purchase in your grocery bag, it may be very similar. So is that the solution that we're looking for? I think we have to think about all of those different things, because one aspect of a cycle without looking at the other aspects of a cycle may not lead to the results that we're looking for. We also have an environment where we need to think about the external aspects of what can increase the cost of the everyday goods that everybody purchases. So there needs to be, in my opinion, coming back to the table, discussing, and that formula has to be a critical part of the step forward.
In a significant move aimed at bolstering border security, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced a new visa restriction policy on March 5, 2025, targeting foreign government officials who knowingly assist the transit of undocumented migrants into the United States. The policy specifically focuses on immigration and customs officers, as well as airport and port authorities, who have failed to adequately enforce U.S. immigration laws or who have implemented policies that facilitate illegal migration, particularly across the U.S.-Mexico border. During a press conference, Rubio emphasized the necessity of securing America's borders as a crucial component of national security and economic stability. The introduction of this visa restriction policy comes as a complement to the expanded 3C policy enacted in 2024, which tightened restrictions on private sector actors involved in providing travel and transportation services to unlawful migrants. Under the new restrictions, foreign officials accused of complicity in undermining U.S. immigration laws will face visa denials that will remain in effect until they demonstrate compliance through stricter enforcement of their own immigration policies. This measure is implemented under Section 21A(3)(c) of the Immigration and Nationality Act, which grants the Secretary of State the authority to deny entry to individuals whose presence may pose serious foreign policy concerns. Notably, family members of the sanctioned individuals may also be subject to the same restrictions. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Escape to paradise. Centaur is giving you the chance to win an unforgettable getaway at the breathtaking Orchid Bay Resort. Picture this: a stunning beach and a relaxing poolside retreat. One lucky winner will enjoy an overnight stay for two, plus a delicious breakfast, all courtesy of Orchid Bay Resort. How to enter? Sign up for any Centaur service or stay up to date with your payments for a chance to win. Live raffle draw on April 16th on Despierta Belize show. Enter now to win with Centaur.
Todos están invitados a la reunión política del suroeste de Corozal el sábado 8 de marzo del 2025 en el complejo Honorable Ramiro Ramírez en San Narciso a las 6 de la tarde en punto. Únase a nosotros y escuche a los oradores dinámicos, al líder del partido abanderado de Rinjoc Central, Johnny Briceño, abanderada de la Bahía de Corozal, Tea García Ramírez, abanderado de Corozal Norte, David Castillo, abanderado de Corozal Sureste, Florencio Marín Jr., abanderado de Rinjoc Norte, Ramón Monchi Cervantes, abanderado de Rinjoc Este, Kevin Bernard, el abanderado de Rinjoc Sur, José Abelardo May, abanderado de la zona rural sur de Belice, Belize Rural South, André Pérez, y por supuesto, el campeón de Corozal Suroeste, Ramiro Ramírez. Baile gratis con la música de Tecno Band. McCoy García, Stefan Trapp con el PUP, ¡vamos bien!
A smallholder horticulture empowerment promotion SHEP approach international workshop is currently taking place in Ethiopia with participation from Belizean representatives. Extension Officer Mr. Marvin Blades and Ms. Catherine Hobb from the Ministry of Agriculture, along with Ms. Jenny Lee Donis from the University of Belize, are attending the event. The SHEP approach is actively being integrated into the Ministry of Agriculture's programs, with 7 farmer groups across 6 districts currently involved. At the University of Belize, the approach is also being incorporated into the agribusiness course, ensuring that future agricultural professionals understand the importance of market-driven farming. SHEP encourages farmers to shift their mindset from simply growing and selling to treating farming as a business. The initiative was first introduced in Kenya through the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA and has since expanded to more than 59 countries globally, including now Belize. Through the SHEP approach, farmers learn to calculate their cost of production and determine their potential profits. They also acquire skills in market research, enabling them to produce crops that meet market demands in terms of quantity and quality. By analyzing market trends, farmers select the most profitable crops and create a planting calendar to align with peak market demands. The objective of the workshop is to provide an opportunity for information sharing among participants in order to successfully implement and mainstream the SHEP approach in their countries. The workshop will include presentations from various African countries where SHEP has been implemented, highlighting successes, challenges, and strategies for the future. The event is funded by JICA and the Ethiopian government, demonstrating a continued commitment to empowering smallholder farmers worldwide. The beginning of Lent for Catholics around the world, including those in Belize, as they observe Ash Wednesday, a significant day in the Church's liturgical calendar. This solemn observance sets the stage for a 40-day journey of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving leading up to Easter, a time revered for repentance and spiritual renewal. Ash Wednesday initiates a period of reflection that spans 6.5 weeks, culminating in the celebration of Easter Sunday. For many Catholics aged 18 to 59, adherence to the Lenten fasting guidelines begin today, with all members of the faithful expected to participate from the age of 14. The tradition of receiving ashes on Ash Wednesday is rich in history, tracing back to the 11th century. It finds its roots in age-old Hebrew customs of penance, where ashes symbolize human fragility and the profound need for salvation. This ritual also reflects on the biblical narrative of Jesus' 40 days in the desert, a time of testing and preparation before his ultimate sacrifice. Pope Francis, in his homily delivered early today, underscored the significance of the ashes as a poignant reminder of both the human condition and the hope accorded through Christ's resurrection. Return to God with all our hearts, he urged believers, emphasizing that while we acknowledge our mortality, we must also hold fast to the hope that lies in the risen Lord, which offers profound renewal during this sacred season. For many, Ash Wednesday serves as an important moment of introspection, encouraging Christians to recognize their vulnerability and practice humility. The observance invites believers to turn their hearts towards God, fostering spiritual growth and guiding them through the transformative journey of Lent. As worshippers gather in churches throughout Belize to receive ashes, the message resonates profoundly. A call to embrace repentance, pursue a deeper relationship with God, and prepare spiritually for the celebration of Easter, a time of joy and resurrection. As Catholics around the globe participate in this shared experience, the theme of hope and renewal unites them in faith and purpose during this sacred season. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Thursday, March 6th here on Ctv3 News and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.